I'm trying to get like a better hair. My face doesn't look so uneven.
I'm recording now.
No.
Yeah. See? The timer. And then I do the intro. Close this. Wait, I'm still going. Mess up my own stuff. Everybody's gonna hear us talking. That's fine. It's funny. You won't hear the audio, but the song is playing now. Smell good. So you better stay calm. Crow your coins, crow your coins, crow your coins. You gotta crow your coins, crow your coins, crow your coins, crow your coins. You gotta crow your coins, crow your coins, crow your coins, crow your coins, crow your coins. You gotta crow your coins, crow your coins, crow your coins, crow your coins, crow your coins. You gotta crow your coins. Sexy man right there in the damn straight. Here we go. What's up, everybody? Welcome. I am the Crypto Crow. I'm here with this midget. She showed up on my doorstep this evening with a package, and I kept her.
Where's your camera?
It's right there.
Oh.
So I'm a little buzzed, and I'm gonna just be straight up because I had did this hour-long video that was factual, it was emotional for me, and overall I thought it was pretty good. But I made my wife watch it, and she said, "Delete that shit. You're not putting that on YouTube." She's like, "It's all right, but you come off like a straight dick." So I said, "Well, then you're going to do one with me. And then we're going to do it in a different way." Because here's the thing. There's a lot that I loved about Puerto Rico. There's a lot wrong with Puerto Rico. And it's nobody's fault other than the people in control of Puerto Rico. And I think I laid it on a little thick. Because there are a lot of really good things about Puerto Rico. There really are. So what we decided we were going to do is, my wife's memory is a steel trap. I'm pretty sure she remembers, I don't know, like how many ounces of steak I had in 2012. Like, I don't know. Like, she just remembers everything. I don't. My memory is not that great. I only remember things I think are relevant in the moment. I wouldn't even remember my own birth date, honestly. I think if my wife wasn't around to remind me. You will notice that her head is half the size of mine. You could fit two of my wives in one of me. I do jokingly call her my midget. I love my midget very much. Let's get on with the video. And my wife made me, she made me the first drink. And I'm on my second. So forewarning. But hey, this is fun. All right. So the first thing I guess we should talk about is, so a lot of people are going to joke with us or joke with me. So my wife is always like 10 degrees cooler than everything else around her because she radiates heat. So like she can make an Eskimo sweat if she's close enough. So the heat probably didn't bother you anywhere near as much as it bothered me, I'm guessing.
Well, so the first bullet point is the heat. That's what you have up there.
Right.
Yeah, 80 to 85 plus always.
Always.
Which is true.
Even at freaking 2 a.m.
Well, it's like 82 to 88, 365 days a year. But between August and like December, the humidity gets out of control.
Let's make us bigger. I like us bigger.
Okay.
Oh, I'm a giant. You make me look so huge just sitting here. Good thing you're cute.
But if it makes you feel better, any picture I take with any even normal sized human being, I still look really small.
Yeah, that's true. She's so little, folks. I don't know what it is. Tall women hate my wife.
Jason.
Because you stole me. You stole me from the... Anyway. So, yes, it's always 80 to 85 degrees. When we first got off the plane and landed in Puerto Rico and I walked into that heat wall, I thought I was going to have a stroke right then and there. I'm not even exaggerating.
That was your... See, I feel like our experiences were so different.
Yes.
So you hated the heat. Instantly.
I did.
And I think that it made your vertigo kick in like right away.
Well, yeah, maybe. I instantly felt bad. Like as soon as we got there, I felt terrible. I don't think the vertigo really kicked in. I think it took a couple weeks for the vertigo to really kick in to the point where I couldn't walk. I couldn't get out of bed. I couldn't do anything. But the heat was strong. And it was... A lot of people are going to be like, well, you dumb gringo, you just moved to a tropical island. Yeah, I get it. I'm the idiot. My wife is not. She knew what to expect. She loves it. She's always freezing. She could fall through a freaking like portal to hell and still complain that it's cold. It doesn't matter what the temperature is. But
unless I'm sleeping.
Yeah, well, you're probably really cold when you're sleeping because you're like a freaking radiator. Yeah, that's the radiators on the wall. But anyway, I'm so buzzing. I can't believe we're doing this. Hey, YouTube. I don't normally get buzzed, but something tells me.
We have a list. You made a list.
Yes, I did make a list specifically for this reason. So yeah, the heat was strong. If you love hot weather and you love just baking in the sun, you'll love Puerto Rico. Absolutely.
I will say the sun, that's the one thing I noticed. The heat didn't really bother me, but the sun is so strong, like on another level. The way that
even if it's cloudy,
the way that you can feel the rays into your skin, it's like super intense. So I will say that.
Yeah. I'm just sitting here looking at you thinking of how many gay for crows are not going to show up in chat after this video. Yeah. If you guys had any idea how much I harassed my wife and how much she just has to ignore.
Well, I've heard all the jokes. Like 50 times at least.
Yeah, she's a little burnt out on the crow. At least you guys still love me. No, I do. I've harassed since I had people thinking my wife was a prostitute on our honeymoon. I just can't stop. Anyway, the traffic. How is the traffic in Puerto Rico, dear?
So the thing is I drove everywhere. So I learned the traffic patterns. I learned when to leave the house. I learned if I was going certain places, I needed to go this route before 11 or go this route after 11. If I was coming home, I would come home this way before 2. If it was after 2, I would take the auto espresso. So I drove everywhere.
Yeah.
I also learned the bullet point is potholes and traffic. So when you drive everywhere, you actually learn where all the potholes are. So you know strategically how to miss them. And you drive in the lanes that don't have them, et cetera, et cetera.
I love you because I would have never thought to explain that to anybody. But
exactly.
Well, I guess that's why we're redoing this video. Because it's true. She did get it down to a science. I white knuckled it everywhere I went to the point where I just stayed the fuck home. That was pretty much my solution to a lot. To be honest, I don't think I've ever been truly in fear of my vehicle or my life as much as I was in Puerto Rico. I don't know what it is. And the funny thing is that we have friends who would say, oh, people travel to Florida all the time and they know the laws, they know the conduct, they know how to use turn signals, which you would never imagine.
How do you spot a gringo in Puerto Rico?
Look for a turn signal. Yes, I came up with that. She just stole my shit.
I've used it in a lot of airports. I bet, and they think it's hilarious
because it's the truth. Yeah. That's why. Because it is like locals don't use turn signals at all. I think they don't even know they have them. It's very helpful on the road. But we've had people tell us that people go to Florida, they know the traffic laws, they know how to drive, they know how to conduct themselves on the road, but when they get back to Puerto Rico, it all goes right out the window and they just go back to what's normal. So I don't know if it's like a cultural thing. But I
think it's because the traffic laws are suggestive. They're not enforced. So like when you're there, everybody is always kind of out for themselves. And so you just have to take what opportunity you have.
Watching people go from the far right lane to the far left lane with no turn signal in one fell swoop on a 4-lane highway is a daily thing.
I know.
Yeah, which is insanity.
Yeah.
Lane splitting is a real thing. I didn't even know what lane splitting was until Puerto Rico. People driving down the center of 2 lanes is a constant thing. So there's so many things there. Hell, when we first bought our car and we left the dealership, I instantly realized how many people wanted to kill me on the highway. Like, that's how I felt.
Well, I will say the one thing that I did notice in Puerto Rico is no one texts and drives. No one does. But you can't. No.
I didn't realize that.
I noticed it almost a week into being there. I didn't see a single person texting and driving, but you can't. You have to be so
yeah, because everybody's defensive.
You have
100%.
to be so aware all the time that no one would even consider texting and driving.
Driving in Puerto Rico is like a metaverse game, but in real life.
Yeah.
My wife doesn't think I'm very funny. So anyway, some positive things. So number 3, health insurance is super cheap. Car insurance was super cheap. Basically, all insurances are super cheap, and I think a part of it is because the government doesn't make you have it. So they basically say, "Hey, it's cheap enough. Why don't you get it?" And I did find that comparison very quickly when we got there. The car we got would have easily probably been what, $400, $450 a month insurance, full coverage here.
At least, yeah.
Yeah, and it was $1,500 for the year.
That
in
was
Puerto
very
Rico.
cheap. I feel like everything that you save is offset though by something else. So it's kind of like a checks and balances as far as.
Kind of, but everything else you have a choice. I mean, I think ultimately everything you do in Puerto Rico, you have a choice to some degree. So, like the sales tax is high. It's like 11.5%. Import tax is really high. So that's a big thing. But ultimately, I mean, homeowners insurance, health insurance, all of that. I mean, to go to a pharmacy to get an antibiotic is what, $5?
So that was super nice. So anytime like I was sick, if I needed an antibiotic or you needed something, he didn't even have to go. I could just go to the pharmacy and say, "Hey, here's my husband's symptoms. This is what's happening. What can you give me?" And that's when we found the Meclizine.
I hadn't even touched on vertigo yet, but yeah.
Yeah, that helped your vertigo. And it was, you just stood in line. It was like $5, super easy. That was great. Instead of like in the United States, you have to go to a doctor who gives you a referral to a specialist. And it's like this chain of events.
Everybody wants to milk you before they'll give you what you actually need.
Yeah. So that was nice.
That was nice. Mm-hmm. I will say that was very nice because I suffered from vertigo so bad in Puerto Rico. Some of you guys that watch my channel regularly, and when I try to do content in Puerto Rico and my vertigo would kick in and it would be like, I'm going to fall over or vomit. I don't know what to do. I got to cut it. I mean, it was so bad. And the one good thing too is there are THC dispensaries all over Puerto Rico. Weed is like a dinner biscuit in Puerto Rico. Yeah. I mean, like everybody loves it. It's like just a healthy, fun thing. It's not, there's no real stigma or anything associated with it. And I've never been a weed guy. I've never been, contrary to, because I'm always scratching my face and stuff because my nose hairs tingle when I talk a lot on YouTube, so everybody thinks I'm a cokehead. Yeah. So, and I'll see it in the comments all the time, like, "Man, you gotta stop doing drugs." I'm like, I'm not. I would be dead if I did drugs. But my vertigo was so bad that like a friend was like, "Hey, didn't he like grows weed for the dispensaries or something?" But he was like, "You need to try THC. That'll help you." And so I ended up getting some edible gummies, and if it was like alcohol would help subside the symptoms, the side of the symptoms or whatever, vertigo, to the point where I could function a bit. But the gummies really helped a lot. And then my wife finally, because we tried everything, but she would come in, she'd be like, hey, I found something else on Google. And like, it was always something new. But like, you know, she'd do all these head exercises where she's like moving my head all over the place. Like, do you feel it? Do you feel it? Do you feel I'm like, no, I don't feel shit. No. What are we doing here?
Other than you threw up a couple times.
Yeah. Why are my ankles over my ears? Like, what's happening? And so, and she finally, she's like, I got it. I found this. And she gave me meclizine. Man, that like cured everything. That helped everything. So if you end up going to Puerto Rico, or if you go anywhere where the climate drastically changes or the elevation or whatever, and it messes up those little fine crystals in your inner ears and nothing else is working, meclizine is probably the answer. And I talked to several doctors about it after the fact. They're like, yeah, meclizine is safe. It helps, it's good. You could probably, I think they told me that I could take up to 2 a day. I would take 1 in the mornings and I was good all day. The only thing I will say about meclizine is if you drink on meclizine, 1 drink is like 2 or 3. So if you want to be a cheap date, drop a meclizine in the morning, you'll get wasted off of scotch. I mean, like 1. Like right now.
You took a meclizine?
I've had 1.5. I think I did take one of those this morning.
Oh.
I mean, it's not good. You're not really supposed to drink on it, I don't think, but everybody says it's safe. So it is what it is. So anyway, cheap health insurance, all that stuff is good. Everything. I mean, it seems like everything is kind of optional though.
That way.
Yeah, she's sitting on the arm of my chair right now. So, gosh, it's crazy how ginormous I look with you in the frame. So number 4, amazing food. I got even fatter in Puerto Rico. My wife is always small. It doesn't really matter.
No, we all gained weight.
We gained some weight in Puerto Rico, but I gained enough to notice.
That, but also too, you make friends and people come over and they're like, it's 2:30,
and everybody brings food to your house to cook at your house.
They bring food. It's like, and the thing is time is very
doesn't exist.
Yeah. So people will say, hey, it's a Sunday or a Saturday, let's have a cookout. We're gonna
at 2 o'clock, and they'll show up at 6:30.
At 2, awesome. Then they show up at like 5:30, and we're like, okay. Next day, hey, that was so much fun. We're gonna come over for a cookout. We're gonna be there at 3. All of a sudden it's 12:30. Hey, we're at your door. I mean,
that's so true.
So
there's no rhyme or reason, and time doesn't really exist. It's just it's like everything else in Puerto Rico. It's suggestive. Exactly. The laws, the traffic laws, I mean, everything. It's just a suggestion.
Yeah. I mean, luckily we really liked the friends that we made, so it was fine that they came whenever.
Right.
But yeah, time was a loose term.
Yeah. And all the food was good. And I mean, even McDonald's was different. I mean, honestly, the McDonald's fries, I'm really particular about that. And they're different from even McDonald's to McDonald's in the States. But in Puerto Rico, it just felt like everything you ate had less chemicals and shit in it. And
it seemed lighter.
It all felt lighter. It just felt more pure somehow. It just felt better. I don't think I had a bad meal in Puerto Rico. Now, there were restaurants that this one liked to order from DoorDash pretty much all the damn time, like Agave. Oh, while we're on the subject of food, let me just say, if you've never had gas station food in Puerto Rico, you should definitely try it. What was the name of the gas station by the house? Whatever. Total. My wife starts speaking Spanish and all her Spanish shit. I'm like, blah, 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 blah. That's what it sounds like to me. I don't know what the hell she's saying. But anyway, Total, whatever the hell it is. They had the best French toast I've ever had in my life. She flew back to the States for like a week. I had Total French toast pretty much every day. I would just drive down and get my French toast. I'd get all my waters for the day and everything. And like seriously, some of the best food I've ever had in my life, especially breakfast food. So yeah, that was amazing. Probably didn't help me with my weight. So yeah, the food was amazing. Restaurants everywhere. The sales tax was high, but yeah, that was that. Man, we're already 20 minutes into this video.
Speed it up.
Okay. All right, Luma. What do we think about Luma, the power company that took over everything in Puerto Rico?
Well, so I feel like when we very first moved into that house, the first month, everything was fine. Everything worked fine. And then all of a sudden, we had no water pressure. Like, only one person could get a shower, or no one could get a shower, or you couldn't do laundry, or we had like 2 days, like 48 hours where no toilet would flush. That's pretty disgusting when you have like 6 people in the house. And so we were getting like baths in the pool. Thank God we had a pool, because literally we were getting showers in the pool. We had water specialists out, all of these people out. No one could figure it out. Finally, we figured it out. I figured it out. When our generator kicked on, that's how I figured it out. The generator had been running for 4 days. And I noticed, because our water would water would kind of come and go. So I noticed when the generator was on, our water pressure was perfect. It was like 3 people could get a shower.
Because the voltage we were getting from Luma was limited.
Yeah, so then I started realizing it was from Luma, because we had no voltage and they were supplying such low supply that we had no water. So that's how I figured that out.
But how did we end up with a $1,500 a month power bill when we were barely getting shit to begin with?
Exactly.
That's what I still don't have any answers to.
So then we had like 3 months of a $1,500 power bill. So $1,500 a month.
That's no bullshit, folks.
And our water bill was like $800 a month when we had no water. So yeah, so then there was that.
Somebody's having fun with numbers. Yeah, is all we're saying. And which leads me into some of this other stuff. Listen, the Luma situation is a nasty situation, and I get that there was a lot of damage and a lot of destruction and things like that after Hurricane Maria. But you know, I know that Puerto Rico received a lot of money from a lot of different places, and the people are not benefiting from it. And that's one of my big problems. I don't know where the fuck this money's going, but it's a real big issue when you have celebrities that are donating tens of millions of dollars to an island because they know that the people need the support, and it's being pocketed by a bunch of douchebags who are now getting locked up finally. But that unfortunately doesn't solve anything, right? You have the government of the United States that has sent money to try and resolve a lot of issues, also being pocketed by a lot of people that are pulling the strings on what's going on that island. And, you know, listen, my other video really harped on a lot of this stuff. My wife saved me probably by making this more fun, but the serious nature of it is that I genuinely feel for the people of Puerto Rico, man, because it is an oppressive place in a lot of ways. And I know that a lot of people who have been raised there and they've grown up there and they've lived there their whole lives, they may or may not see some of the issues. But, you know, the 4,000 people that were down there protesting Luma, blocking highways, they know what the issues are. They understand what's happening, and they obviously understand what should be happening and what's not happening. And from what I understand, here we are 12/14/2021, and these issues still haven't been resolved. We've been gone now for a couple of months, but we've seen a lot. And, you know, man, I still want to like publish the other video just because I feel like I want to give everybody my like gut on all of it. But my wife says I ramble a lot. You have to let me know in the comments. Do I ramble a lot into 20 different directions at the same time? I know I do. But anyway, the government corruption is a real deal. In the other video, I pulled up some articles about how the mayor of like Guaynabo was arrested, and apparently he was convicted this month on December 9th for receiving $100,000 of a cash bribe. And it's like, you know, what At what point do you truly lose your soul as a politician? That's my question. What's your price? 100 grand? What's the price of any politician willing to sell out the entire populace of a people, of an island, of a city, of any place that you represent for some greenback? What does that greenback actually buy you? What, a fucking car? And you're selling out your entire like community of people who are starving, struggling, trying to rise up and try to make something of their lives. And you get a new fucking Lambo? Like, the problem is that there's so many cases of this over and over and over in Puerto Rico. And I don't know how much of this can be attributed to some of the issues associated with Luma. I don't know. I don't know if it's a political problem. I know that there are a lot of political activists that were intentionally creating some problems for Luma when they took over. We've recorded arc fires at power stations, okay, from our balcony. So we've seen some of this stuff happening. But yeah, I won't get on a crazy huge tirade. My wife is just chilling. It's like, but Luma and the power situation and the government situation, the political situation is just really bad. And I heard about some of these things before we went to Puerto Rico, but you know, a lot of people, they think, oh, they hear politics and they're like, oh, I'm not political. It's not going to bother me. It will affect you. It will affect you living in Puerto Rico, and because it affects the people, and Puerto Rico is like 20, 30 years behind everything. I mean, in the States, 30 maybe. I mean, ponderosas are still booming there. You know, there are a lot of pros and cons to some of this, but ultimately, it's like traveling back in time to a large degree, and a big part of that is because of the bubble around the island, that it either protects the island from the outside or it limits the island from opportunities and things from the outside. I mean, you can cut it either way, but ultimately the island is struggling. I mean, the people there, even people that have lived there their entire lives and love the island life, I do believe are struggling, whether they realize it or not. And maybe that's just my gringo mentality of like having life and I grew up in hoods, man. I grew up rough. I grew up in bad areas my entire life up until for the majority of my life I spent in very bad places. And you know, I was raised by a single mother, you know what I mean, on welfare, all of that. And so there are a lot of, damn it. I try not to get emotional, but for whatever reason, there are a lot of things about Puerto Rico that trigger me. There are a lot of things about Puerto Rico that I'm like, it could be so much better if these assholes would get their asses in check. Or somebody would do something. And it's just like, it feels like it's running rampant. And the people walk around with such pride and such like unity, and they're like, we're going to do something. But the reality is I don't know if anybody on the inside is going to be able to do anything to fix what's going on over there. There's a lot of good in Puerto Rico that I feel is not able to shine because of some of the things that are holding it back. And I guess I feel like in some ways I attribute that to, you know, the kids that are growing up in rough areas that maybe they're capable of doing a lot more, but they just don't have the tools or the things that might help them overcome certain elements of their environment. I don't know, you know what I mean? But I feel like there's a lot of that going on. And Puerto Rico, I can feel your leg. Like, are you super nervous about what I'm gonna say? Because her leg's going a mile a minute on mine, and I feel like she's.
No, I can't sit still.
And I mean, it's like I won't lose it or anything, but we both like genuinely feel for. I mean, man, we met so many great people and so many cool people in Puerto Rico, and like. Some of them may not even realize that things don't need to be as difficult as they are. And I think and some of them just embrace it because it's the life they've always known. They don't know anything better. But I feel like everybody should have working power, you know?
Yeah. I think a lot of and this is just through people that I've talked to, I just think a lot of the conflict comes between like the Puerto Rican culture. They're very prideful of their culture of like respect, and you know, if you take care of me, I'll take care of you, and like we all look out for each other. Hospitality is a huge thing. Respect is a really big thing. Being warm, kind, humble, genuine, down to earth. Those are all really big things. Am I not loud enough?
No, I'm just helping you.
Oh, and so I think the struggle is feeling like they're going to lose part of that with, I don't know, but it's like a split. It's like split. It seems to be very.
It depends
50-50.
on who you are. It's so relative to like what you like, what your lifestyle is, what you want to accomplish in life, that sort of thing. I really do feel it's relative. Some people love the quote unquote island life of, you know, no stress, just chill, relax, you know, smoke up, or, you know, hit the hammock and watch the waves, you know, and like, you know, for me, I'm kind of go mentally. I'm always just raw in my head, and I think that's why I kind of have like breakouts of like just rambles and rants every once in a while. It's like when everything catches up to me. But I think about the potential for Puerto Rico, and I think about what it could be, what I feel it probably will be someday. My fear is when I you know, we think about gentrification, right? I'm a little buzzed, so it's hard to pronounce it. But gentrification. And I made it a point in the video that my wife is making me delete, and it's like, you know, when you like the Act 22, Act 60, Act 20, all that, right? And at first, you know, in the video, I was talking about it and it clicked with me. It was like, oh, wait a minute. I think I do get it. You know, a lot of people are like, oh, this is racist. This is bad. This is terrible. And, you know, as somebody on the other side of things, you think about it like, listen, this is the only tax haven Americans have. A lot of other countries have multiple tax havens, you know, in some cases 3, 4, 5, even 6. In Europe, I think they have like 5 or 6 different tax havens. And it's good to have them because they're basically, you know, places in the world that can benefit from those with money from the outside coming in and lifting up the economy, helping the environment, helping different aspects of the society there. And a lot of people that are, you know, born and raised Puerto Rico, they're like, we don't have any problem. We don't want your money. We don't need your money changing anything. We don't need you coming in, buying a piece of property, changing it, increasing the value to somebody outside the island, and then selling it for a price we can't afford because it's not even our way.
Right. Because you have to remember, Puerto Ricans are about relationships.
Right.
It's not about, this is a step-by-step process. This is how you get things done. These are the regulations. There are no regulations. It's who do you know? Right.
Well, everything is pretty much who you know. And, you know, I made the analogy of, well, not even really an analogy. I think there's a lot of truth to people that see, you know, some rich white guy coming into Puerto Rico from the States, buying a house, buying a property, and then, you know, modernizing it, changing it, making it quote unquote better for somebody else from somewhere else, increasing the price of it, and then, you know, pricing it out of the realm of what they can afford as a local. And, you know, for those who, you know, they have property that, you know, maybe their father built, their grandfather built, it's been in the family for a really long time, whatever the case may be. And then somebody coming in and scooping it up, buying it, and then flipping it at 2 or 3 times the potential value. You know, I see how that can be a problem. And initially I didn't really get it. I wasn't 100% aware, but it's like, when you think about it, it's a double-edged sword in the sense that it's very helpful in some ways. I think it would be more helpful. I think this whole Act 60, Act 22, I think a lot of this would be a lot more beneficial and not frowned upon so much by so many on the island if the people actually saw the benefit of it. And I think that's the problem. So much of the benefit is being pocketed by those that are, doing whatever they want. And I think that that's a big part of the problem. It would be one thing if people felt, I don't know. I can go on that whole tangent forever.
Sales and import taxes.
Sales and import taxes. It's all fucking high. How about that?
It is really high. Sales and
11.5% tax on basically whatever the hell you eat.
Yeah, my grocery store budget tripled in Puerto Rico. So what I would spend in the United States, just triple it in Puerto Rico. Okay, beaches. Beaches are gorgeous, beautiful, the most beautiful water. It's clear. It
was interesting seeing clear beach water for the first time in my life.
Clear, calm, gorgeous.
You can swim in the Ohio River, but you might come up with an ear full of turds.
Yeah, I would night swim. I would go to different lagoons and 50-foot deep water and night swim, and you can see like your feet. You can see everything. It's so clear, even in the pitch dark. So gorgeous.
We moved from there to a place with alligators and water moccasins. So to each their own.
So if you like to snorkel or scuba dive or any of that, it's like the absolute best. Okay. Relationships hustle. Okay.
Is this your way of trying to move me along?
Yes.
Okay. My wife is my secret government. She's my cabal or whatever. Relationships hustle. Everything's a hustle. Everything's a relationship. The more people you know, the more relationships you can establish when you're there, just the better everything is, because everybody knows everybody. Everybody's connected to somebody that's connected to somebody. I mean, it's like a web of influence. And if you come in with this cocky attitude, like you're hot shit,
everyone's going to take advantage of you.
You're nothing. You're nothing.
Yeah. No one wants that.
No, because I got beat up so much. No, I'm just kidding.
It's about respect. It's about being super cool, super down to earth, relaxed, respectful. If anyone comes to your house, you better make them a sandwich, give them a drink.
What are you talking? They just come in and make a sandwich. What are you talking about?
No, they don't. No, everybody.
They come in and they bring all the food and then they start cooking.
But like, if anyone comes, just for whatever reason, it doesn't matter who's at your house doing what. It's hospitality, respect. Right. You treat everyone very kindly. It's reciprocated, and that's how it is. All right, safety and security.
Wait a minute. God dang, woman, chill out. It's only 37 minutes. It's okay. I really start rushing shit at an hour mark.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, I mean, it's already 37 minutes, so fuck it. I mean, at this point, we might as well just get it all out.
Well, what else do we have to talk about relationships?
It's just stuff.
Well, go ahead.
Like the situation, like in the other video, I was talking about like the homeless man who.
Yeah, that's true.
Homeless people in the States generally, in California, obviously they have their own city, but generally speaking, and I shouldn't just say homeless, but like panhandlers and things, people that are hanging out of the streets asking for change and things. In the States, a lot of them are like a syndicate. Like they're all connected. They have grids and maps, and they have blocks, and they make like $75 an hour. Like they're not really struggling. In Puerto Rico, the people are hungry. Like there's a real thing about the panhandling and the and honestly, what's weird is there wasn't even much panhandling. You just see people struggling, and you like want to help them. Yeah. Probably because we're so used to people coming and bothering you, bugging you, asking you all the time. And in Puerto Rico, it wasn't really like that because it was legitimate. It was just like people down on their luck. People who take over.
You got it, babe.
You're a lot of help.
You can get it out.
There's just a lot of people with they're just really struggling. And so they're not acting. It's not like a commercial struggle where they're all running around playing a role, asking for everybody they can for money. It's like, it's a real thing. Mm-hmm. And, there are people that she's met, you know, that would like teach her and tell her like, oh yeah, you know, this guy, you know, they're here all the time. He's a homeless guy. You give him $5, he'll watch your car, you know, and it's like, and they'll give you like hourly updates and things, and they'll like try to like earn the money that you gave them. Like they actively, passionately try to make themselves valuable to anybody who will see value.
It's that double scotch love. But it is true. It's a whole different thing. You know, you could be, even if you're in like a really bad area, but you're with, you know, maybe the right people, as long as you're very respectful and you're like familiar with the culture and you're just down to earth and you're there to like typically have a good time. Like Puerto Ricans love to have a good time. They're all about like zest of life and partying and just everyone having fun, dancing. It's great. And as long as you're cool and you're not like uptight and think that you're better and you're just not like an idiot or just a moron, which unfortunately I didn't realize was just so out of left field to be. Anyway,
my wife farted and it's terrible. That's why my eyes are watering.
Everyone's super cool. That's the thing, is like if you're cool, everyone's cool. Everyone's great. Really is what it boils down to.
You don't go to Puerto Rico with a chip on your shoulder or an attitude like somebody owes you any fucking thing.
So the biggest thing, and what should have what really kind of opened my eyes very quickly, and this is when we were in our Airbnb. We had maybe been there 2 or 3 days, and obviously we didn't really have groceries, so we were going out to eat a lot. And the waiters and waitresses kept saying, oh my gosh, you guys are so nice. You guys are so nice. But they were saying it over and over, and in a way
like it's a big deal,
that it was like not normal.
Right.
And so, we were I'm like, why do they keep saying that? This is so weird. And so finally I was like, why do you keep saying like we're so nice? And they're like, oh, you have no idea what we deal with. And honestly, I feel like we were just being normal human beings. Like we weren't going above and beyond. We were just thanking them, being polite.
Just common decency.
Just common decency.
Basically, is
exactly.
a gold mine in Puerto Rico.
And their minds are blown.
When it comes to like tourists or outsiders.
And it wasn't until I had gone out a couple of times outside of that, I started like meeting people, friends, really starting making connections, friendships that, you know, we would have these conversations. And yeah, I mean, a lot of tourists are terrible. And I witnessed it a couple times firsthand.
We both did.
Where I was mortified, absolutely mortified at the behavior, that I was like, felt like I needed to apologize for a table over there because it was so bad. And to me, I don't know, it's like if you go somewhere else, you know, granted, it's a United States territory. I don't care where you go. If it's anywhere outside of what you know, you are a guest, and you better respect it like a guest and respect their customs, their cultures, whatever, and be humble and just so appreciative for everything that they're doing for you.
Just respect the fact that you're not from there.
Exactly. But unfortunately, most people don't do that, which to me is mind blowing. But yeah, I mean, basically, if you're cool,
they're cool.
They're cool.
You go in like a dick, they're going to put you in your place.
Yeah.
They will. I mean, that's true. Because, you know, I mean, there are a lot of stories, and some of it's folklore, some of it's real. I mean, but, you know, there are a lot of people struggling in Puerto Rico, man. And if you go in there and you're just acting a fool, they're more than happy to put you in check. I mean, that's really all there is to it. If you're cool with everybody, everybody will clamor to be cool with you. And that's it. Just don't go to Puerto Rico and be a dick. That's really it. Yeah. Honestly, there really isn't any other way of putting it. Which I guess brings us to safety and security.
Same thing.
Same thing. Don't go to Puerto Rico being a dick, and you'll be fine. You know, like I've said, if you go to Puerto Rico looking for trouble, you can find it. It's around any street corner. It's around any corner. You can find it. But generally speaking, if you're not looking for trouble, you probably won't find it. I will tell this one story, only because I feel like it's kind of relevant, and I didn't tell it in the other video.
Oh, okay.
So I'll tell it in this one because it's true, and I think it happens a lot. So my buddy and I, we were actually driving down, and we were trying to find. Yeah, where were we supposed to go? Where'd you tell us to go?
La Factoria.
La Factoria. We were trying to basically just go out, have a guy's night out, have some drinks, have a good time. She had already been there dancing or whatever and loved it. We didn't know where we were going, but we get down there and we're trying to find a place to park. And the long and short of it is we end up driving down some tunnel that looked like the gateway to the unknown. And it was my dumb bright idea to just basically drive down, and I thought it would go out into like a parking lot of some kind. No, it didn't. We ended up in a community that, let's just say there were guys going back and forth on motorcycles or like dirt bikes. And all I'm going to say is it probably could have been a really bad situation. I'm pulling in there in a nice car, and I don't know what the situation was. I could be assuming. I don't know. But nobody bothered us. Everything ended up being cool. I think it was obvious we were lost. And, you know, I mean, and
people don't want trouble.
People don't want trouble.
That's
like if you go looking for it, you'll find it.
Yeah.
But like all I wanted to do is get the car out of there and back in this like 1-lane freaking tunnel back out. And, you know, and it was all cool. And, but my point is you're as safe as you want to be, I think, to a large degree. I mean, you might hear gunshots, and it's like, welcome to Puerto Rico. Like that's what everybody would tell us. It's like, welcome to Puerto Rico. And you'll hear a lot of car crashes. You'll hear all kinds of crazy shit going on. You'll hear, and if you're not hearing that, you're hearing those damn frogs in the trees. But yeah, they're super cute. But the point is, if you go to Puerto Rico and you keep your head on straight and you're not there, you be aware.
Pay attention.
Right.
If it's late at night and you're by yourself, specifically female, you know, you're
allowed to drive through red lights.
You kind of treat red lights like a stop sign. So you stop, you make sure no one else is running a red light.
Aren't they all optional if they have the white outline?
That's funny. But anyway, you do. It's like for me, I would drive. If I was driving at night by myself, I would keep the windows cracked so I could hear. I would not have my music on. And you just basically pay attention. Who's behind me? Who's in front of me? Who's beside me? And it might sound a little intense. I mean, I guess maybe it is, but I don't know. It was always fine. I always felt fine, but I also knew to always be really aware of my surroundings. And that's just how it is.
Yeah. So, property prices, we already covered some of this. I mean, for the most part, I mean, listen, you know, if you're thinking about moving to Puerto Rico for like Act 60, Act 20, all that, more power to you. Like, I would highly encourage anybody that goes to Puerto Rico, if you're going to buy a house with a solar system. If you don't, you're probably going to hate life until they get the solar or the power system situated, which, I mean, I was trying to find some stuff. It looks like it's still an ongoing issue. You know, get a house with a solar system, and there is, and I talked about this in the video that I'm forced to delete. But there is definitely a magic about Puerto Rico, and there's a magic about the people of Puerto Rico. And as crazy as so many Puerto Ricans are, man, you can't help but to love them. And there's such a predictable kind of bond, I feel, that you can build with the people there, like, because it's not complicated. It's not, and I'm not trying to talk about Puerto Ricans like there's some fucking third world group of people. It's not like that at all. But there are rules. Like there are no rules and rules at the same time. There are no traffic rules, but when it comes to people on people, there are a lot of rules, and it's respect is a big rule. And you know, when it comes to like property prices and all that stuff, I do to some degree understand where a lot of people come from when they talk about gentrification and, like, you know, rich gringos coming in, buying up their properties and changing them and doing whatever to them and then flipping them at profit and like basically pricing them out of their own neighborhoods and all that. And I do. And like, it literally wasn't until tonight when I was like doing the other video and I was thinking about it as I was talking, and then I made her watch the video and I said, what do you think of this? But I stand up. Okay, babe. My back. And I okay. And I'm like watching the video and I'm thinking, you know, I get, during the video, I'm like, I get it. I understand why people are so frustrated. You know, none of us go to Puerto Rico because we think, well, I can't speak for everybody else. We didn't go to Puerto Rico because of just the tax benefits. If that were the case, we'd still be there, to be quite honest. It was an incentive. We have talked for years about going somewhere else, seeing other parts of the world, you know, adding some adventure to our lives. I'm not getting any younger. Like, let's just do something fucking crazy.
I love Latin culture.
She's all about Latin culture. Like, she's a dancer through and through, from Latin ballroom to salsa dancing to all of that. She loves it. All of it. It's all fun. But I don't even remember what the hell I was saying.
You're talking about gentrification.
Oh, well.
And saying how you understand how people want a rich gringo to move in. You understand how, like, they can be.
Yeah, there's definitely a lot of like hate, I think, in a way, towards like what they might perceive as like rich gringos or whatever. And it's hard for me to like say I blame them because, you know, a
lot of people live off the land. A lot of people have had that way of life forever. It's generational. They don't see their life as necessarily a struggle because it's all about relationships. They don't feel like they need regulation. You know, it's like
kind of like the crypto market in 2016.
Maybe it's like they, you know, people who, if push came to shove and they really needed something, I mean, they could go to a complete stranger and say, hey, I need, like, my family's struggling. I need food. I need I need somewhere to sleep. And
as long as they're not asking each other on the highway.
Yeah. but like, you know, it's like people are so much more willing to help people. Like, I've heard of stories of, you know, people did live in the United States when they were younger. And it's like, you know, when they were in need, they didn't have those opportunities. And not only did it was like a lot harder for them when they were struggling to, I'm not very loud. It was just a lot harder for them to, you know, they really couldn't go to anyone for help. People would turn a blind eye, where in Puerto Rico, people are always willing to help. And so that's kind of the difference. It's very much like more, I don't know, organic with relationships on, you know, a lot of people are struggling, but a lot of people are willing to help you. Where in the United States, it's like, well, unless you have a homeless shelter or something like that, it's like no one's going to help you. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So it's like kind of like that's where I think the divide happens.
The other big thing that really, and I won't touch on it too much. My wife was like, "Don't talk about that, or your video will get shut down." Are just things related to all things related to the masks. Is like that posed a really big problem towards the end, and I think it was a part of what pushed us both over the edge.
I didn't care about the masks.
Well, you didn't care about it was the testing. My wife would get tested every 3 days just to go to the gym.
Yeah.
And that was like it was a financial drain. And like B, none of it really made much sense, but it is what it is. You know, I'll reserve my perspective on all of that because I don't want to get shut down. But I don't necessarily go with the overall narrative of all of that, and it definitely seems like, listen, here we are 54 minutes in, and you know, we've talked about a lot of different things, and I feel like my wife added a lot to this video. She helped me because my other video is, I think, a lot more serious. There's so much to be said about Puerto Rico, and I will say this.
I feel like we said it all.
I do think so too. I think you did a great job. I think I think ultimately, though, it's relative to the individual. My wife enjoyed Puerto Rico far more than I did. You did. Far more than I did. But I'm a tech head. I'm a nerd. I'm all those things.
You hate the beach.
I don't hate the beach. I'm just not a beach head.
Here's the thing.
I don't like sitting around stagnant, wasting time. And to me, hanging out on a beach, getting cooked and getting tumors from the sun.
Listen, you don't like the sun. He has said all of the time we've been together, I hate the feeling of the sun on my skin.
I do.
He goes, I hate the feeling. I feel like I'm being cooked from the inside.
Especially if I'm biting somebody on the neck. So I can't stand it.
He hates the sun. Do you get in the ocean water and swim? Do you like to snorkel?
Are you asking me or them?
Yes, I'm asking you.
No, not particularly.
Hates to snorkel.
Well, that's the whole point.
Do you like sitting around on the beach doing nothing?
No.
Exactly. You like to be productive. Do you like to hike outdoors?
Maybe. If it's a fun thing, I could. Like, I don't want to dodge like snakes and spiders and shit to go hike up a hill to say I did it. I mean, I prefer a little more purpose than just like seeing stuff. Air
conditioning.
I do. I like central air. That's nice.
Yeah. So there is no central air in a lot of Puerto Rico houses.
No, every room has its own AC unit.
It's very hot. And then,
I mean, it's not like, well, the AC units work.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, it's not that hot.
Now I'm going to ask, are you an aggressive driver? Do you like to be an aggressive driver? Do you like to feel like, you know, you're taking charge on the road? If yes, perfect.
What was the old Atari video game? Something about spy?
I don't know. But if you're an aggressive driver and you don't mind, you know,
taking your life into your hands every 5 minutes.
Lanes of traffic to hit that auto espresso, then Puerto Rico might be for you.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I did not mind doing that. You know, it's like,
my wife is crazy. She's small and cute, but she's nuts. I'm like the normal one.
But if you like internet and you like power and you like water pressure and you like all the luxuries, you know, and you don't kind of like that off-road adventure, then it's probably not for you.
Yeah.
I liked it.
She loved it.
I liked it. I had a great time.
You know, it was an adventure, and
so it just depends on what you are into.
And that's the thing. If they would allow you to like be, if Luma would get situated and somebody would do something about the political system over there and what's going on with that, and money that was provided to people that to like help the island in different ways actually went to the island and the people, I think it'd be honestly one of the most magical places. I mean,
it really could be.
It really, 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 really could be. Will that day come? I sure hope so, because I think that the magic of that island is definitely, there's something to be said about that place. You know, and I'd like to see it. I'd like to see it in my lifetime. I'd like to see things really get situated over there. There's so much opportunity. There's so much going on over there, and you know, but it is what it is. I'm sure we'll go back. We still own a house there. We'll, you know, I will say this, and then we'll sign off. A minute or less, basically. You know, a lot of people think that if you're going to move to Puerto Rico, that you got to go to Dorado. That's total bullshit. Dorado is they call it the white bubble. It's basically all the rich white people that don't give a fuck about each other move to Dorado. I mean, I'm just going to be honest with you. Every city, every major city in Puerto Rico has really nice areas and really bad areas. It doesn't really matter where the hell you are. Dorado is the most popularized because that's where everybody spent millions of dollars and they want to see those property values grow. It doesn't matter if you're in Bayamon, Guaynabo, Caguas. It doesn't matter. If you're in a great area, if you're in a nice area with nice property, nice houses, it's all nice. Okay. So don't let anybody fool you into thinking you have to move to Dorado. We didn't move to Dorado. And where we lived was great, honestly.
You live on the west side of the island too.
Yeah, like I loved where we were, and in the community there was everybody was nice, people waved, and it was like, you know, it was like in the States, you know what I mean? And it wasn't a gringo bubble. It was just a lot of people that do well, and like they took care of the community, and everybody was just nice. I don't know any other way to put it. So yeah, don't think you have to move into Dorado to like be safe or whatever. That's a load of shit. You know, yeah, I mean, that's it, really. Definitely want a house with solar power, though.
Yeah, that's a must, actually.
That's a must.
Yeah.
That's a legit thing.
Yeah.
So thank you, dear, for helping me with this video.
Yeah.
Yeah. And we'll yeah. So I don't know. I'm out of scotch, and it's late, and I've got work to do still.
Me.
It's late for her. This midget passes out early. I'm up here working until 2-3 a.m. again. So until next time, guys, thanks for joining. Hopefully this was productive for you, helpful for you. It's as real as we can be about everything without sounding doom and gloom or overzealous. I mean, this is about as real as it gets. Puerto Rico's a beautiful place, hands down. It's got some issues like everywhere else. It's just a matter of like picking where you want to be and what lifestyle you want to live. So until next time, guys, thanks for joining us. Crow your coins, and I'll see you again soon.